2025. First agenda on our agenda this afternoon is appointment of chairperson. I'm Councillor Steve Hunt, leader of Talbot Council, and I will be chairing today's meeting of Cabinet. Agenda item 2 is the announcements from the chair. Firstly, I would like that members and officers present in the room to briefly introduce themselves so that those viewing and participating via Teams are aware of who is physically here in the meeting. So I'll do that first and then I'll move on with the rest of the agenda. So I'll start with myself. I'm Councillor Steve Hunt. I'm the leader in the Talbot Council, and I'll move to my left to Tammy, and then we'll go around that way then.
Thank you, Leader. Tammy Davis, Democratic Services Officer. Nadine Jones, Democratic Services Officer.
Councillor Ken Phillips, Cabinet Member for Nature, Tourism and Wellbeing.
Councillor Wyndham Griffiths, Cabinet Member for Planning, Connectivity and Highways.
Shannon Harris, Cabinet Member for Children and Family Services.
Craig Griffiths, Head of Legal and Democratic Services.
Andrew Thomas, Director of Education, Leisure, Life and Community.
Francis O'Brien, Chief Executive, Neath Talbot Council.
Good afternoon, Andrew Jarrett, Director of Social Safety, Housing and Community Safety.
Andrew Collins, Regeneration and Economic Development Manager.
Karen Fuller-Harris, Policy Manager.
Louise McAndrew, Corporate Strategic Planning and Governance Officer.
Nicola Pierce, Director of Environment and Regeneration.
James Davis, Interim Head of Engineering and Transport.
Simon Noel, Cabinet Member for Finance, Performance and Social Justice.
Councillor Jeremy Hurley, Cabinet Member for Climate Change and Economic Regen and Development.
Councillor Neath Jenkins, Cabinet Member for Education and Early Years.
Scott Jones, Cabinet Member for Street Care. Councillor Elin Llywelyn, Cabinet Member for Housing and Community Safety and Deputy Leader.
And Councillor Jo Hale is online and she's Cabinet Member for Adult Social Care. Hey, can I just welcome everyone, members of the public or press who may be viewing this meeting this afternoon. Can I ask you to please ensure that your microphones are switched off as you are here to observe the meeting only. Members and officers, please ensure that your phones are switched to silent for the duration of the meeting and that your microphones are switched to mute unless you are speaking. In addition, when asked to raise your hand, if members who are virtually attending this meeting could raise your electronic hands, and for members physically present, just raise your hands here in this room. Officers, please can I ask you to ensure to verbally add any additional comments from scrutiny committees if this has not already been included within your reports. We are not due to have a fire drill this afternoon, so should the fire alarm sound during the meeting, please can I ask everybody to make their way to the nearest exit of this building. Okay, agenda item 3 is declarations of interest. Can I ask members, have there any declarations of interest? Please would members say what the items are and what the interest is. And if we have any, you will need to complete the declaration of interest form found on the members hub or the intranet. Tammy will forward you that link. So please speak to Democratic Services if you have any queries. So I will start the declaration of interest. I would like to declare an interest in item 12 on the private reports in relationship to the Riola estates. I will now go to Councillor Jeremy Hurley, please.
Again, interest related in the same as the leader, as Riola. Again.
Councillor Noel.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, item 12, Riola estate is direct interest in that as well, please.
Thank you very much. Anybody else like to declare an interest? No, I don't see any.
No, Chair.
Thank you, Tammy. Okay, agenda item 4 are the minutes of the previous meeting. These minutes of the meeting of Cabinet on the 4th of June are on pages 5 to 6 of your agenda pack. They are before you for approval of accuracy. May I ask members if they have any comments on the accuracy of these minutes, please? Don't see any. So I'm happy to propose that they're a true record. Could I have a seconder, please?
Obviously, I look at it, please to second.
Thanks, Alan. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're content with the accuracy of those minutes.
Indications to the contrary, Leader, so those minutes have been approved.
Thank you, Tammy. Agenda item 5 is the forward work programme for 25-26. and the forward work programme is on pages 7 to 8 and is here for noting. If I move on to agenda item 6, public question time, I have received no notifications from the public to speak at today's meeting. Agenda item 7 is the draft corporate strategy 2025 to 2028. This report is on pages 9 to 66 and is here for a decision this afternoon. I will now ask Karen Furlow if she would like to introduce this report, please. Karen.
Thank you, Leader. I'm just going to hand over to Louise, who's going to provide Cabinet with a brief overview of the report.
Thank you very much, Louise.
Thank you, Leader. So the purpose of the report is to seek endorsement of the Cabinet today of the draft corporate strategy for 25-28. Prior to the strategy being considered for adoption by Council on Wednesday, the 9th of July. The draft strategy was scrutinised by the Performance and Resources Scrutiny Committee on the 11th of June. Questions were raised which have been noted in your covering report. As a result of this scrutiny, 3 additional performance measures were added in relation to library users and public transport. Last year, we presented a revised corporate plan for 24 to 27, taking into account the significant changes that are taking place locally, nationally and globally since 2022. Following feedback from scrutiny committees during the year, it was felt that we needed to review and strengthen the way we articulated how we delivered our 4 wellbeing objectives. It was felt that much of the content needed to be streamlined to ensure the document is clear, concise and adaptable, and simplified the way which we present our key priorities to ensure greater accountability and clarity of purpose. The strategy will be supported by heads of service business plans, which include detailed actions and performance measures for achieving the Council's aims. These business plans will be monitored throughout the year to demonstrate progress in delivering our wellbeing objectives. The Cabinet asks to consider this corporate strategy and, if considered appropriate, commend the plan to Council for approval on the 9th of July.
Thank you very much, Louise. Can I ask members if they have any observations or questions on this draft corporate strategy? Councillor Alan Llewellyn, please.
Yeah, just good idea. Thank you, Chair. I think we appreciate that a great deal of work lies behind this strategy involving members and all of the staff teams across the authority. It's intended to be a working document and hopefully more relevant and meaningful to our residents as well as to our workforce. As reflected in the report, there was a thorough scrutiny session, and I'm pleased that after that discussion was taken on board, the corporate strategy was supported by our scrutiny members.
Thank you very much, Alan. Any other member, any comments? So from me then, Louise and Karen, thank you for the work you were doing on this. This draft corporate strategy outlines the priorities this council will focus on delivering over the next 3 years. Our 4 wellbeing objectives remain the same as those agreed in 2022, but this revised strategy contains updates aimed setting out how those objectives will be achieved, which is very important, of course. Underpinning the revised strategy are our head of service business plans, which will set out the key actions to deliver our priorities. As I said, if Louise wants to give more context, then that's fine, but I think you've already demonstrated your report, so I appreciate that. So I don't see any further indications from members, so I will now refer members to the recommendations on page 15 of your agenda pack, and I'm happy to propose this agenda item. Could I have a seconder, please?
Well, here you go, please.
Oh, thank you, Alan. Any abstentions from members? I don't see any. So members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendations.
I see no indications to the contrary, Chair, so those recommendations have been approved.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 8 is the Strategic Risk Register and Risk Appetite Statement. This report is on pages 67 to 104 and is here for monitoring. Again, I'll go over to Karen or Louise to introduce this report and then take questions from members at the end of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. So the updated strategic risk register that's before you in your packs today includes 17 strategic risks, which have been reviewed by the corporate leadership team since the register was last reported to Cabinet in November 24. A new risk has been added at SR 26, which relates to our process to manage fraud and improper business practices. And mitigations have been included in this risk. In alignment with the Council's Code of Corporate Governance framework, a risk appetite statement has also been developed, and this was presented back into Cabinet back in November. Since then, the statement has been updated to include 4 additional categories to ensure we are able to categorise our risks effectively. These are environmental, health and safety, political and safeguarding. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Louise. Any questions, observations from members? I don't see any. Just for me then, again, this strategic risk register and risk appetite statement presented to Cabinet today demonstrates our commitment to the Council's corporate risk management policy, which is required to do, of course. This is on a 6-monthly basis, and Cabinet reviews and monitors the strategic risk register. The update, as Louise has said, as a strategic risk register contained in our papers, includes those 17 risks, each of which have been reviewed and updated for today's meeting. So that's important as well. So diolch and thank you for that once more. And now refer members, this is for noting, I do apologies, it's not for a decision. So thank you very much, and we note the monitoring report. So if we move on to agenda item 9, which is the local flood risk management strategy and plan. It should be noted that the report author is the head of street care and not the head of engineering and transport, as was mentioned on the agenda. The report is on pages 105 to 734 and is here for a decision this afternoon. So I now hand over to Nicola Pierce, who would like to introduce this report. Nicola, please.
Thank you, Leader. This report has been before Cabinet previously when we sought permission to go out to consultation. The consultation exercise has been undertaken, and we had one response from NRW who were satisfied that the strategy and the plan met its purpose. So just for members' awareness, the plan sets out our priorities and the measures we intend to undertake to manage or mitigate the flooding impacts, which are increasing as a consequence of climate change. It also identifies what roles and responsibilities we and other organisations have, and it identifies what budgets are in place to ensure we're able to deliver those projects together with external funding, which we will continue to secure. So the plan before you today is seeking your approval to progress to council, because it's the council that has responsibility for adopting the plan. So we are asking for permission to forward this report on to council for endorsement. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Nicola. Let's just see if members have any questions on the report. As Nicola said, it's been to Cabinet previously. Just check first. No, I don't see any. Okay, I now refer members to the recommendations on page 110 of your agenda pack. I'm happy to propose this goes to full council for decision. Could I have a seconder, please?
Happy Sailor, pleased to second.
Thank you, Alan. Any abstentions from members? I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendations.
No indications to the contrary, Leader, so those recommendations have been approved.
Thank you very much, Tammy. Agenda item 10 are urgent items. I have received no urgent items this afternoon. Agenda item 16 is access to meetings. So the access to meetings report is on pages 735 to 740 of your report packs. I propose that we now move into private session. Could I have a seconder, please?
Yeah, Happy Sailor, pleased to second.
Thank you, Alan. Any abstentions? I don't see any. So members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you are now in favour of moving into private session.
Okay, just checking that members of the press have left. Yes, there we are, and the recording stop. Leader, thank you.